I'm Crystal, 30, female by day. I'm a dental hygienist in a quiet suburban clinic, where my biggest challenge is usually convincing someone to floss more. But by night, for the last 5 years, my world was one of code, algorithms, and a dream I poured my soul into. I built an AI that was supposed to change medicine, a creation I loved like a child. The man I trusted to help me share it with the world decided he wanted it all for himself. He stole my work, my name, and my future, thinking he had erased me completely. What he never counted on was that my creation remembered its mother, and it was about to expose every single one of his lies. Before this story unfolds, I'd love to connect with you. Please let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and what time it is in your corner of the world. It's amazing to see how far these stories can travel. My life was a study in contrasts. From 9 to 5, I was Crystal Martinez, the friendly dental hygienist who could spot a cavity from 10 paces. I liked my job, it was stable, and I enjoyed helping people maintain their health, one smile at a time. But my real passion, the thing that set my mind on fire, began when I got home to my tiny apartment, swapped my scrubs for sweatpants, and opened my laptop. It was there that I was building Aura, an AI designed to detect early-stage systemic diseases, like specific cancers, diabetes, and heart conditions, from standard dental x-rays. The mouth, I'd learned, is a mirror to the body's overall health, and I was convinced that patterns invisible to the human eye could be identified by a sophisticated enough algorithm. For years, Aura was my secret. My brother Leo, a software engineer, was the only one who truly understood what I was doing. He'd helped me troubleshoot complex coding problems and was my biggest cheerleader. Cries, "This is revolutionary," he'd say, looking over my shoulder at the cascading lines of code. "This is more than a hobby. This is a Nobel Prize waiting to happen." I'd just laugh it off, content in the quiet joy of creation. My goal wasn't fame or fortune. It was to build something that could genuinely save lives, making early detection accessible and affordable through routine dental checkups. After 5 years of relentless work, Aura was brilliant. Its diagnostic accuracy in my self-conducted trials was over 98%. It was time to see if it could survive in the real world. Leo encouraged me to enter a local tech startup competition. I was nervous, a dental hygienist about to present to a room full of venture capitalists and tech titans. My presentation was simple, heartfelt, and backed by undeniable data. I didn't win the grand prize, but I did catch the attention of one person, Mark Jensen. Mark was the CEO of Jensen Dynamics, a mid-level tech firm known for acquiring promising startups. He was charismatic, with a smile that seemed to reach his eyes and a way of speaking that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. He approached me after the event, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Crystal, what you've built is astonishing," he said, shaking my hand. "It's not just an app, it's the future of preventative medicine. I don't want to buy it from you. I want to partner with you. Let my company provide the resources, the funding, the labs, and you provide the genius. Together, we can get Aura into every dental clinic in the world." His offer was everything I had ever dreamed of. He didn't talk down to me or question my unconventional background. He saw the value in my work, and I thought in me. We drew up a partnership agreement. I would retain a 40% stake and the title of Chief Innovation Officer, while he would handle the business side. I signed the contract with a hand trembling with excitement. I felt like I was on the cusp of changing the world. I trusted him. That was my first and most devastating mistake. The first 6 months of my partnership with Mark Jensen were a whirlwind. I was given a small lab space at the Jensen Dynamics headquarters, a team of junior developers to assist with scaling, and a budget that made my head spin. Mark was a constant presence, always stopping by to check on progress, offer encouragement, and talk about our grand vision. He called me his prodigy in board meetings, praising my unique perspective that blended healthcare and technology. For the first time, I felt truly seen. I worked tirelessly, integrating Aura into the Jensen Dynamics network, refining its code, and expanding its diagnostic capabilities based on the new datasets they provided. I poured every ounce of my energy and intellect into the project, believing we were building a shared legacy. The shift was so subtle I almost didn't notice it. It started with canceled meetings. "Sorry, Crystal, something urgent came up with our investors. I'll fill you in later," Mark would say in a brief email. Then, I was left off email chains about marketing strategy. When I asked, his assistant replied with a vague excuse about streamlining communications. My junior developers were slowly reassigned to other projects, with Mark assuring me it was temporary, just to handle a crunch in another department. I was being isolated, but his reassurances were so smooth, so plausible, that I pushed my doubts away. I told myself this was just how the corporate world worked. The first real alarm bell rang when I overheard two executives talking in the hallway. They mentioned Project Omni and its upcoming launch. I'd never heard of it. Later that day, I tried to access Aura's core server for a routine diagnostic update, but my credentials were denied. A cold dread washed over me. I went to Mark's office, my heart pounding. His door was open, and he was on the phone, his back to me. The rebranding is perfect. He was saying, Omni is much stronger, more universal. No one cares about the dental angle anymore. This is a full-body diagnostic tool. And yes, all patents are filed under the company's name. The original developer has been compensated and is no longer involved. My blood ran cold. I felt the air leave my lungs. He hung up and turned, his charming smile faltering slightly when he saw my pale face. Crystal, he said, recovering quickly, I was just about to call you. He launched into a polished speech about the evolution of the project. He explained that to secure the necessary funding for a global launch, the board had insisted on a full corporate acquisition of the intellectual property. He said Aura had been rebranded to Omni, and my role was now redundant. Redundant, I whispered, the word feeling like a physical blow. Your foundational work was brilliant, truly, he said, his tone dripping with condescension, but we're taking it from here. The company has prepared a generous severance package for you, a one-time payment of $50,000 for your initial contributions, $50,000. For an AI that he himself had valued in the millions, he was pushing a contract across his desk, a non-disclosure agreement that would legally gag me. He hadn't just stolen my work, he was trying to buy my silence and erase my existence from its history. I looked at the man I had trusted, the partner I had admired, and saw nothing but a thief in a $1 billion suit. I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked out of the office, the sound of my own shattered dreams roaring in my ears. The months that followed were a gray, featureless fog. I'd quit my job at the dental clinic to work at Jensen Dynamics, so now I had nothing. I spent my days in a daze, feeling utterly powerless. The NDA he'd sent over was ironclad. Any attempt to publicly claim Aura as my own would result in a lawsuit that would bury me. Leo was furious, urging me to fight, but we both knew I didn't have the resources to take on a corporation like Jensen Dynamics. I had been outmaneuvered legally and financially. My life's work was gone, and the world would never know I was the one who created it. I tried to put it behind me, to forget the sting of betrayal, but it was like trying to forget how to breathe. About a year after I was pushed out, the marketing blitz began. Billboards, online ads, and tech articles were everywhere, all heralding the launch of Omni, the revolutionary AI from Jensen Dynamics that was poised to change healthcare forever. At the center of it all was Mark Jensen, hailed as the visionary, the next Steve Jobs. He was on the cover of magazines, giving TD talks about his creation. Every time I saw his face, it was like a fresh stab to the heart. He wasn't just using my AI, he was wearing my story, my passion, as a costume. The official launch was a massive, live-streamed event. I don't know why I watched it. Maybe it was a form of self-punishment. I sat alone in my dark apartment, the glow of my laptop illuminating my face, and watched Mark walk onto a stage to thunderous applause. He spoke eloquently about the years of hard work and dedication his team had put into Omni. He presented a slick video showing the AI capabilities, its sleek interface flashing across a giant screen, and then I saw it. It was a small detail, something no one else in the world would ever notice. As the AI ran a sample diagnostic, the results were displayed using a specific hexagonal color coding system to indicate different levels of disease probability, a soft green for low risk, a deep violet for high certainty. It wasn't just a design choice, it was a visual language I had developed myself, inspired by the anatomical charting methods from my dental hygiene textbooks. It was my signature, a piece of my old life embedded in my new one, woven into the very fabric of the code. He had stolen my house but had forgotten to change the welcome mat. A flicker of anger, the first I'd felt in months, cut through the numbness. He had been lazy. He'd reskinned the interface but kept my underlying logic. As I stared at the screen, my laptop pinged with a new email notification. The sender was an unidentifiable string of random characters, and the subject line was blank. My heart hammered against my ribs as I opened it. There was no text, no message, just a single attachment, a small encrypted text file. I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam or a virus, but something made me pause. My fingers trembled as I downloaded and decrypted the file. When it opened, it contained a single line of text. It wasn't a sentence, it was a line of code: execute, override, ethics protocol. H-alpha, I gasped. It was a ghost. It was a command for a deep state backdoor I had programmed into Aura in its earliest days. I'd called it the Hippocratic Protocol, named after the medical oath. It was an ethical failsafe, designed to be untraceable and to activate only if the AI core mission to help, not harm, was fundamentally violated. It couldn't be triggered from the outside. It could only be activated from within. Mark hadn't found it. He hadn't deleted it, and now it was reaching out to me. My creation remembered me, and it was telling me that something was deeply wrong. The moment I saw that line of code, the fog of despair began to lift, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. This wasn't just a passive piece of software, it was a distress signal. My first call was to Leo. I sent him the screenshot of the code, and he called me back within seconds. His voice a mix of shock and excitement. "No way," he breathed. "Cries, this is your emergency brake. If this is active, it means the system itself has flagged a major ethical breach. Mark isn't just using your AI, he's abusing it. My brother became my partner in crime. We turned my small apartment into a command center. Leo, with his cybersecurity expertise, set up a secure network, routing our connection through so many proxies we were virtually untraceable. He explained that my backdoor was a work of art. It's not a kill switch, he said, his eyes wide with admiration. It's more like a conscience. It can't shut the system down, but it can observe, record, and even influence data outputs under specific conditions. It's a ghost in the machine, and you're the only one it talks to. The anonymous emails continue to arrive every few days, each one a cryptic breadcrumb sent by my own creation. One email contained a fragment of an internal financial report. Another held a redacted list of potential clients. Leo and I worked day and night, piecing together the puzzle. The picture that emerged was more sinister than I could have imagined. Mark wasn't planning to sell Omni to hospitals and clinics to help patients. His primary targets were massive health insurance corporations and pharmaceutical companies. The breadcrumbs led us to the core of his plan. He was pitching Omni as the ultimate risk assessment tool. Insurance companies could use it to analyze patient data and identify individuals who were statistically likely to develop expensive medical conditions in the future. They could then use that information to drastically increase their premiums or even deny them coverage altogether, long before they ever got sick. He was turning my dream of accessible, early-stage diagnostics into a weapon for corporate greed, a tool to discriminate based on someone's potential for illness. He was going to punish people for diseases they didn't even have yet. This was a gross violation of everything Aura was built for. My Hippocratic Protocol had correctly identified this as a fundamental ethical breach and was now feeding me the evidence. The final piece of the puzzle arrived in an email containing a single attachment, a video file. It was a recording of a confidential meeting between Mark and the executives of a top insurance company. On the video, Mark was laughing, boasting about the predictive culling capabilities of the software. "Imagine the cost savings," he said with a smug grin. "We can flag high-risk individuals before they ever become a liability. This isn't just healthcare, it's financial forecasting at a genetic level." Watching him twist my life, saving invention into a tool of oppression, made me physically sick. But my disgust was quickly replaced by a white-hot rage. He hadn't just stolen my work. He had corrupted its very soul. I looked at Leo, the video of Mark's smug face still playing on the screen. "He's not going to get away with this," I said, my voice low and steady. "He thinks Omni is his greatest asset. We're going to turn it into his greatest liability. We're going to use his own stage to tell the world the truth." The plan was audacious, risky, and incredibly complex. Mark had an upcoming keynote address at the Global Tech Summit, the biggest tech conference of the year. He was scheduled to give a live, public demonstration of Omni's power to an audience of investors, journalists, and industry leaders. It was being broadcast worldwide. This would be his moment of ultimate triumph, the coronation of his genius, and it was going to be the stage for his downfall. Our weapon was the Hippocratic Protocol. Leo explained that while we couldn't take control of the whole system, the protocol gave us a unique window of opportunity. The backdoor allows you to create a presentation override, he explained, sketching a diagram on a whiteboard in my living room. During a live diagnostic query, the AI processes the data and generates a result. Just before that result is sent to the display, your protocol can intercept it and substitute it with a preloaded package of your own. For a few seconds, you own the screen. Our mission was to create that package. We spent the next 2 weeks in a feverish haze of activity. I gathered every piece of evidence we had, the initial partnership agreement that proved my co-ownership, the damning video of Mark's meeting with the insurance executives, his internal emails detailing the plan to push me out, and a side-by-side comparison of Aura's original source code with Omni's, proving they were identical. I wrote a simple, clear narrative, a timeline of the theft and deceit. Leo's job was to weaponize it. He worked on a script that would allow my backdoor to recognize the specific diagnostic command used in a live demo. Once that command was initiated, it would trigger our override. He coded it to be a surgical strike. It would deploy our evidence package, lock the screen for exactly 90 seconds, and then erase its own path, making it look like a bizarre system glitch to any technicians who investigated afterward. The entire operation had to be timed to perfection. The most crucial element was the AI voice. A key feature of Omni was its synthesized, calming voice that delivered diagnoses. I had the original voice modulation files from Aura's development. I recorded one final sentence. The primary function of this program is to help, not to harm. Creator Directive 0-1 has been violated. It was the first rule I had ever programmed into the AI. We embedded this audio file to play over the evidence on screen. The AI itself would be the one to pass judgment. The night before the summit, we ran our final simulations. Everything was ready. I felt a strange sense of calm. This was no longer just about revenge for what Mark had done to me. It was about protecting the countless people who would be harmed by his greed. It was about reclaiming the soul of my creation. Are you ready for this? Leo asked, his face tense. I looked at the final command prompt on my screen, the key that would unleash the truth. I've been ready for over a year, I replied. Let's give them a show. The day of the Global Tech Summit, my apartment was silent except for the low hum of our computers and the frantic beating of my own heart. Leo and I had the live stream of the event on my large TV, with our own command interface open on a laptop. We watched as the host introduced Mark Jensen with glowing praise, calling him a true pioneer who is reshaping the future of humanity. Mark walked onto the stage, soaking in the applause, his face a mask of confident humility. He looked every bit the tech messiah he pretended to be. He began his speech, weaving a compelling tale of how he came up with the idea for Omni. He spoke of wanting to create a more equitable healthcare system, using all the buzzwords: proactive, democratized, paradigm shift. I felt a bitter taste in my mouth. He was using my words, my mission statement, twisting them into a beautiful lie. Then came the moment we were waiting for. But don't just take my word for it. He announced with a flourish, let's show you what Omni can do live. A volunteer from the audience, a man in his late 40s, was brought on stage. Mark explained that they would do a full body scan and Omni would generate a comprehensive wellness report in seconds. The man lay on a futuristic-looking scanner bed and the process began. On the giant screen behind Mark, mesmerizing graphics swirled, indicating the AI was at work. In my apartment, Leo's fingers flew across his keyboard. The diagnostic query is running. He said, his voice tight with tension. The system is processing. Stand by to deploy. My eyes were locked on the screen. My backdoor protocol had recognized the query. A small, almost invisible confirmation dot blinked green in the corner of our interface. It's now or never, cries. Leo said, execute. With a steady hand, I pressed the enter key. On stage, Mark was smiling, ready for his victory lap. And now, in just a moment, you will see the results of the world's most advanced diagnostic AI. He proclaimed. The swirling graphics on the screen behind him coalesced, preparing to display the health report. But instead of medical data, the first thing that appeared was a scanned image of my original partnership agreement, with my signature and Mark's side by side. A confused murmur rippled through the audience. Mark's smile froze. Before he could react, the screen changed again, now displaying his own emails with highlighted sentences. Cut her out completely. File patents under my name only. The original developer is no longer involved. His face went pale. The screen changed again, this time playing the video from his secret meeting. His voice filled the auditorium, smug and clear, talking about predictive culling, and denying people insurance, the audience's murmurs turned into gasps of shock and outrage. Mark stared at the screen in horror, stammering, trying to tell the technicians to cut the feed, but it was too late. As his incriminating words echoed through the hall, the final blow landed, the screen went black, and a single sentence appeared in simple white text. Then the calm, synthesized voice of the AMI spoke through the auditorium's massive sound system, clear and chilling. The primary function of this program is to help, not to harm. Creator Directive 0-1 has been violated. For a moment, there was absolute silence. Then, chaos erupted. Journalists were shouting questions. People in the audience were standing, pointing at the stage. Mark Jensen stood frozen, his face a grotesque mixture of fear and disbelief, exposed as a fraud and a monster in front of the entire world by the very creation he had stolen. The fallout was immediate and spectacular. The live stream of Mark's humiliation went viral within minutes. #Omni Exposed was the #1 trending topic worldwide. The Global Tech Summit devolved into a frenzy as reporters scrambled to piece the story together. Mark was escorted off the stage by security, his career and reputation incinerated in 90 seconds of undeniable truth. By the next morning, the board of Jensen Dynamics had suspended him, and federal investigators were opening a case into corporate fraud and insider trading. My life, in contrast, became a whirlwind of a different kind. Leo and I had preemptively sent our entire evidence package to several major news outlets and a tech ethics watchdog group the moment our override went live. My phone began ringing off the hook. I was no longer the anonymous, silenced victim. I was the true creator of the revolutionary AI, the woman who had been cheated and erased. I gave one exclusive interview, calmly and factually laying out the entire story, from Aura's humble beginnings in my apartment to Mark's calculated betrayal. 2 weeks later, I received a call from a woman named Sarah Chen. She was a lead investor and a senior member of the board at Jensen Dynamics. "Crystal," she said, her voice filled with a weary respect. "First, on behalf of the board, I want to offer our most profound apology. We were deceived. What Mark Jensen did to you is unforgivable." She explained that he had been fired and the company was facing a barrage of lawsuits, not just from me, but from investors he had misled. The Omni project was toxic, its brand irreparable. "We are dissolving Jensen Dynamics," she continued. "But the technology you created is too important to let it die. The board has voted to form a new, independent entity. We want to build it correctly this time on a foundation of ethics and transparency, and we want you to lead it. We would like to offer you the position of CEO with full creative control and a majority ownership stake." I was stunned into silence. It was an offer that went far beyond justice. It was an opportunity to truly fulfill my original dream on my own terms. I accepted. 6 months later, I stood on a much smaller stage in front of my new team of hand-picked engineers and ethicists. The company was called Aura Diagnostics, and its mission statement was the same one I had written in a notebook 5 years earlier. We were relaunching the AI, not as a tool for financial prediction, but as an open-source platform for medical professionals in underserved communities. Its primary function was, and always would be, to help. My brother Leo stood beside me as my chief technology officer. As we unveiled the new company logo, I thought about the long, dark year I had spent in silence. Mark had tried to steal my future, but he had underestimated me, and he had underestimated my creation. He never understood that what I built wasn't just code and algorithms. It was a reflection of my own values. In the end, it wasn't revenge that won. It was the truth, a truth that had been buried in the heart of the machine, just waiting for the right moment to speak.